Hi, Ana Laura. Can you hear me? Hi, Bob. Oh, let me unmute you.
What's that?
I said hi. I had you muted, so I unmuted you.
Well, that's not the first time that's that.
Well, I put it in the settings, and I don't know if Ana Laura can hear us because I don't see her microphone. We've got Ana Laura here. Let me see. We've got somebody with an iPhone coming in. And someone, I think we've got an audio person coming in.
Mhm.
All right. I'm going to give folks a few minutes to get in. When you come into the meeting, you're automatically muted. So if you'd like to say something, or you're welcome to unmute yourself, but it's just the way I've got it set up on my account. And I've started a chat. I don't know if Ana Laura can hear us. Let me text her.
Dina, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Please raise your right hand. I'm just kidding.
All right.
Who else is here?
Anna Hesbrook, I think, is trying to get in.
Yes.
I see Mark Ceballos is there.
Yes. Yes.
Hi, Mark. There's Anna.
And we've got Judge Chandler with us, although, yes, with the mic. I don't see the microphone, so I'm not sure if she can hear us or speak with us. Oh, she's connecting. Okay.
Anna looks like a poster child.
I think that is her profile picture,
Mhm.
but I'm not certain because I don't see a microphone for her if she can hear us. Oh, wait, she's coming in again. Yes. Okay.
It was a poster.
Hi, Ana Laura. I was just worried
Hi.
if you couldn't hear us or.
No, well, I'm making dinner at the same time because I have hungry kids. They have to eat every hour.
I understand. So this is interesting. So you're still signed in, Ana Laura, on another account because I still show an image for you when you first signed in.
Let me see. It says I have video. So you don't see me?
No, I see you.
Oh.
Yes, I see you. And so you've got two boxes now.
Oh.
You've got a box where your video is on and your microphone is on, and then you've got a box where it doesn't seem that there's anything on.
Let me see. I don't know if I can fix that. Should I stop and restart it maybe?
No, I mean, it's fine. It's fine for me. I think you might be signed up on with a phone or something.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I may have clicked it on my phone first. So I'm just going to turn off my phone because I don't know if that.
that might work.
I hope.
So Zoom is just giving you video and not, okay.
I turned my phone off, hoping that that might work.
No, and that's okay. I'm okay to have two folks. I'm happy to have you logged in either way. It's interesting though, because your phone didn't give you, okay, your phone went away. And
Yay!
Now, yay.
Okay.
We've got someone else on an iPhone. Who is here with us on the iPhone? Let me unmute you. Okay, on the iPhone device, who is here? We've got a video of just a corner with the light on.
It's Tammy. I'm trying to get connected.
Oh, okay, perfect. Well, we can hear you and we can see your room. So that's good.
So just move the camera to show your face.
Yes, and I think there are a few more people that are wanting
Get the
to join us.
invitation. Can you hear me?
I
Yes.
can hear you.
Yes.
Joanne just texted me that she can't get on Zoom. She got the invitation.
Okay. She can't click on the link or.
Click on the link.
Yep, there should be a link.
She says she did.
And what happened?
Hi. What happened when you clicked on the link, Joanne?
I've got someone here that's trying to help me. I'm going to let her tell you.
Okay.
Hi. So I've tried to go in a couple of ways, straight from the email
Yes.
where it says join Zoom meeting and it's HTTPS, and then it's the full URL. So when I click that, a screen pops up that Safari cannot open because the address is invalid. So then I would go to just the Zoom website and click on join a meeting, and going back to the email invite, I cut and paste the meeting ID and put that into the join a meeting, the 634-573-T55, and click join, and the same error keeps popping up that Safari cannot open the page because the address is invalid. And I have Zoom on all my devices, and I'm very familiar with Zoom, but for some reason it's just not connecting.
Can you try doing it from another phone or can we send the invite again?
Let me try that from my laptop.
Or can,
Let's see if I can get in. I'm actually in a Zoom meeting. I'm going to quit.
I'm going to send her the email again. Okay.
Okay, and Dina, I just sent her the email again. Maybe that'll help.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
She sent you the email again, see if that helps.
But if not, from the app, you should be able to take that 9-digit number and just click it and then join the meeting that way. does 634-573-255.
634-573-255. Can you try it off of a laptop or iPhone? Okay, they're gonna keep going. So try it on the new email that she's sending you.
And I think Judge Chandler, I'm sorry. I think Judge Diaz was going to try to join us as well. Oh, I see Dr. Murphy, I think, because it was a Murphy, and I just let her in.
They did it from another video, from another laptop.
Really? What kind of laptop? Well, I guess we'll ask. Let me unmute her.
She's here
Hi.
helping in the schoolwork. Hi,
Hi, Dr. Murphy. What laptop was it that you couldn't use it from?
my iPad,
Really?
right?
Okay.
And they did it earlier today at work, but I'm not like Dr. Trevino there. I'm pretty unsophisticated technologically, so.
I call myself a dinosaur.
Well, we are all tech novices for sure in this new age. Judge Diaz will, if she's able to join us, we'll let her in, but we are just about 10 minutes after the hour, so I wanted to kind of get us started. I know time is precious. We have folks joining us from laptops, from phones. We have one audio that's joining us as well. If you could, I guess the very basics is, this is the Zoom app. There are free accounts, there's paid accounts. You can select whichever one you'd like. If you opt to select a free account and you know there's the limitation that you can't host a meeting more than 45 minutes, I know there's been some consternation that you can't finish a hearing that's more than 45 minutes, and that's not correct because all of the judges in the state have received a premium account from the Office of the Court Administration. And so long as you are responding to their hosted hearing, you're not subject to the time limitations that would otherwise be imposed on you by the free account. So hopefully that alleviates somebody's stress. But there are two different accounts that you can have. It matters not your ability to participate in the hearing, regardless of which account you have, should not be hindered. That being said, once you're here, if you look up on top, if you're on a laptop like I am, it's going to be up on your upper right-hand corner. You can switch between the speaker view and the gallery view. Gallery view, you can see everyone who is in the meeting or the hearing. I'll give you all a few minutes to kind of get through that. If you just click, you'll see different views.
I don't see anything like that. I'm gonna have some help.
Okay.
Different views.
So your face should be in like a black box. If you go to the upper right-hand corner of that, there's a option to get it a full screen so you can see all of Zoom and nothing else. And on right next to that is a speaker view option or a grid view option.
Okay.
And if you do the grid view, you can see the participants in the hearing. And so right now on my screen, I've got 12 boxes up. If there were more participants than boxes, you could kind of go to do an arrow up or down depending on how your computer is configured, and you would be able to see everyone who's at the hearing. Judge Virial has done a training that and Rasheen is joining us from an iPhone. And I think with the iPhone, there are some limitations with that. I don't know if you can get a gallery view from an iPhone. It may be on like a ribbon up on top. Rasheen, I don't know if you can see that or not.
Just text her and told her her sound was off.
can scroll around and see everybody who's there, but I can
But you're never what now?
not see more than 4 people at a time, but I can scroll around and see who else is on there, but each screen only holds 4 people.
Okay. So that's what you would have if you're joining the hearing via cell phone. It's going to be a little bit, your ability to work with Zoom is going to be a little bit less if you're joining from a cell phone versus a laptop or an iPad even. Dr. Murphy, were you able to find the different views?
Yes, with help.
Okay, well.
Ethan's tutor is now my tutor.
Well, and I'll tell you, I am not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. We've been working with this for 2 weeks, a week and a half, and Judge Varial, Judge Ferguson, Judge Miskell have really done a lot to try to help train the judiciary and train the bar. And so we're trying to do the same thing here in Bexar County as well. And I think you'll see and find that other judges here in Bexar County are really eager to help navigate this for everyone. If you have questions, I think Judge Arteaga has been doing some informal question and answer sessions either before or after her hearings. Judge Diaz has been very generous with her knowledge. She knows a lot about this technology. And so please don't be fearful or hesitant to ask questions. I think I'm going to kind of go through a general outline, interrupt me with questions. I just want to give everybody some basics. You've noticed already, I've been chatting, I've been trying to communicate with folks with the chat. If you're on the laptop, you're going to go down to the bottom where it says more. There's going to be 3 dots. It's going to say more.
Randy, will you come help me?
And that's where you're going to find your chat. And chat is basically like a text message chain with everybody that's on the hearing. Some judges have been, and these are the outlying counties, some judges have been calling an open docket call with, I think Judge Varial on Friday had 50 plus cases called on a Zoom hearing.
Oh, wow.
So definitely know your audience, know who's in the meeting, know who's in the hearing, know what kind of forum you're entering into, just as you would in a live courtroom, kind of anticipate what's going to happen. But if you use the chat function, you have an option to send a chat message to everyone that's in the group. But then if you go to the 2, you can see, you can make private chat communications. So if you are in your office and your client is at home and you want to communicate with your client via chat, you would have a private chat exchange with your client. That's not going to be saved. I, as the host, cannot see that communication. No one else can see a private chat, but you can only do a private chat to one person at a time. Definitely make sure, I know it's going to be, especially at first, it's going to be a lot to manage, but if you're intending to send a message privately and you don't pay attention and you send it to everyone, it's out there. Like as soon as you hit enter, you can't get it back. There's no like emails kind of get it back before they open it. It's there. So please be mindful of that. Brooke, you have a question, Miss Irie?
Yes, sorry, I have you muted because I have animals everywhere right now. I know that some of the clients are a little hesitant about this whole process. And for those of us that have bigger conference rooms, how do the courts feel about us having our clients come into the conference room at our office? Is that going to be allowed, or are you wanting everybody to be on separate Zoom accounts and separate locations?
No, I mean, I think that's that's totally within the prerogative of you and your client. I think the thing that I am going to ask everyone to be mindful of, because I've heard it from more than one person, is that if you and something to be mindful of, if you and your client are trying to share a screen, so you're both going to be in the conference room, one laptop, one iPad, and y'all are going to be sitting side by side. Judge Miskell indicated that there has been some problem with the Zoom microphone picking up two different voices from one square. So in the question and answer exchange, she wasn't hearing everything because they were both on the same square and the microphone wasn't able to capture both of their voices. I don't know how or why that happened, but that was part of her experience during one of her hearings. The other thing to solve that, they tried to both still stay in the same conference room and get on different devices. Client was on a cell phone, the attorney kept the laptop, and then there was a feedback loop. So if you are going to have your if you're going to have your client come to your office, either to prep before the hearing, to review things for the hearing, or just because they're going to be more comfortable using the technology and even the bandwidth or the Wi-Fi that's at your office, the best practice is to have two different devices in two different rooms. So the feedback can be avoided and each of you get your square, and Zoom doesn't have a problem with the microphone picking up the voices. And I see Rasheen has put a question that they created a Zoom account for Rasheen's client. And the only problem with that, Rasheen, that I can envision is that the name of the person for the court and for the court reporter, you'd have to change that name on the account, which is relatively easy. Like if you just go to the profile of that account, you can change the names. So during a hearing, you can change it to the name of the client at that hearing. And then for the next hearing, you would be able to change the name on that account for your next client for the next hearing. And Judge Diaz has joined us. Welcome.
Hello, sorry I'm late. Thank you.
No, that's okay. So that's my only concern about having a generic name associated with each of the boxes that we see. Part of the benefit of the Zoom platform, and I don't know if you can notice this or if you've noticed this before, your box gets highlighted when the Zoom microphone picks up your voice. And that is a visual cue to help the court reporters maintain the integrity of their record. And so it's really going to be important during these hearings that the names on the box match the name of the witness or the name of the attorney. So, you know, it's easy to get fun with this because it's a new tool, but, you know, best attorney in the world as your profile name is not going to be helpful in a real hearing, right? I mean, the court reporter and the judge and everybody is just going to be, you know, and if you get really tech adapt with this and you can enter the hearing that way, give everybody a good laugh to start the morning off, and then change it before the hearing gets called, that's fine. But I think initially a lot of folks are going to want to enter with their profile name already situated, so that way they can focus on the hearing and focus on everything that's happening.
Judge, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
How do we handle witnesses? How do we do that? If we're going to invoke the rule, we don't want them to hear everything.
So I think Judge Ferguson is going to has a standing rule now in his Zoom hearings that he has sua sponte invoked the rule, and everybody just stays in the waiting room until they're called. Of course, that's not applicable to the clients or the party witnesses, but that may be something that's easy. For our court, for the 45th, I am not planning to live stream my hearings onto YouTube. I just think it's unmanageable. I think it could cause some problems, and I think somebody could capture that video before I even switch over to delete it. And given the types of hearings that we hear, particularly protective orders and the family law and the custody disputes. I'm not wanting that to happen. So what I'm doing instead to comply with the open courts is posting the Zoom address for any given hearing on any given day. So the participants that are coming in, I've got my account set up that they go immediately to the waiting room, and then I let them in.
Okay.
As the public becomes more interested, and perhaps as family members of the litigants become more interested and they want to start observing these hearings, you know, we may get more participants than we expect, or maybe not. Mark, are you trying to say something, or are you doing a demonstration? He might be on a call. I think he's muted, but I'm not sure. But then, you know, there's the articles about Zoom bombing and whether or not that's going to be disruptive and everything else. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But we are going to be I am going to be managing people as they come in. And maybe the expectation is that everybody who's identified as a witness, if they come in, they'll be pushed out again. Bob, you had your hand up?
I was trying that feature, you know, like when you were talking.
Yes.
As we conduct a hearing, when we have a question, do we just blurt it out to you, or do you want us to raise our hand?
We did the mock hearing, and it was not as chaotic as I think everyone anticipated. And the attorneys were very careful and respectful. And so for the attorneys, I think you can just interrupt because you're going to be making objections, and I'm not going to try to stymie your practice any more than this Zoom has already kind of, you know, shifted our paradigm. But if it gets out of hand, I may just mute you, you know, I don't know. I don't know how it is, but we have been at a pace during the mock trial and during these training sessions where the interruption, you know, has fallen nicely, right? And I don't want to stop somebody again from making objections. There was an occasion where the witness wanted to keep talking, so that was an admonishment to just stop, wait for the objection to be argued, and then continue, or not, depending on what the ruling was. But that was once, and it worked fairly well. So you don't need to raise your hand during a hearing, at least not in front of me. And especially if you're the attorney that's trying the particular case at hand. And I say that because I think the way we're going to be operating next week when we open up to complete, you know, for an open docket, essential, non-essential, required, remote, is that folks are going to have one meeting, judges are going to have one meeting that's going to be open all day. And so you may, as you get assignments, if you're going over your time announcement, you may have the next hearing attorneys and witnesses wanting to enter that particular meeting room. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, how that will logistically be executed. But if there's too many attorneys trying to talk at once, then we may just take turns. But at this point, I'm not going to require somebody to raise their hand before speaking. Okay. What was I going to go to next? So, okay, we talked about the chats. You can chat with everyone. You can chat privately. There will be an admonishment. And I think what we're noticing as we roll this out is this is going to be very much an honor code kind of arrangement, right? One of the admonishments at the beginning of the hearing is going to be, you can private message your client, but you cannot private message your client when they're testifying, or any witness when they're testifying. And of course, you're going to be able to tell if the witness is trying to manage chat You can tell where their eyes are going if they're trying to read a chat versus testifying and answering the question. But I have no way to check that. And if, 2 weeks from now or a week from now, it becomes a problem or it becomes a repeated problem or repeated concern, there's a way to disable the chat function entirely, which I don't want to do, right? I think what we'd like to do is have this platform mirror have the virtual courtroom mirror the real courtroom as much as possible. And I, as a judge, wouldn't be able to stop you from passing notes to your client or to anyone that's sitting next to you, your co-counsel, so I don't want to do that, but it is going to be an honor system. Don't private message the judge, don't private message a witness while they're testifying. That is going to be on the shoulders of the attorneys that are practicing in this virtual courtroom. So I can see, as the host of the meeting, I can see what you see, right? So during the hearing, part of my admonishments are going to be have your video on, have the camera where your face is in the space. Don't have bad lighting where you're totally washed out. Judge Ferguson made a point about virtual backgrounds. Some people have played with them. They're supposed to be used when you've got a flat surface behind you where your computer is at a 90-degree angle, and preferably this flat surface behind you is green, right? That's the optimum situation for a virtual background. If not, you wind up having, something looking like this, right? Where you're in and out, you can see something that's supposed to be the virtual background, but it doesn't really look right. Or this, which is even worse. So please be mindful about that. And I did see during one of the mock trials some really effective questioning to the witness that was using a virtual background, like, where are you really? What are you doing? What are you hiding? What does your room look like? Are you trying to hide that from the judge? What do you have in your hands? Can you adjust the video so we can see where you're at and what you have? Do you have any notes in your hands? So there's definitely a line of questioning that's going to come to the witnesses by virtue of what their video looks like. But I think a lot of judges are going to require the litigants and the witnesses to have their video on. So be mindful of that. And as you're prepping your clients and kind of talking to them about that, don't be afraid to talk about that, the aesthetics of what their video looks like, where they're testifying from, and if there's any issues that they can talk through those with you. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that the chats are not part of the record. So as tempting as it may be to maybe object if you're not, you don't want to interrupt, but you want to just make a note to everyone in the hearing on the chat. I may not see that. Like right now I've got the Zoom chat box open, but I may not catch it. And if a lot of people are Zooming, then the chat is going to go up, and I may not, during the course of the hearing, while trying to be the virtual bailiff and the virtual administrator and the virtual judge, well, hopefully not the virtual judge, but it may get missed in the chat. And so resist the temptation to try to state something that you would otherwise state on the record just with a chat message. So if you have an objection, or if you have a point of clarification, or if you have an issue with an exhibit, or, hey, that exhibit shouldn't be referred to as plaintiff's exhibit 2, that's actually defense exhibit 2. If you would say it on the record, say it on the record, because the chats are not part of the record. Even when they're to everyone, they're not part of the record. So please keep that in mind. It's a good function. It's nice to help facilitate the communication, but it's not a record. and I may not see it. Is there a question?
Can I add to that? Can I add to that, Judge? Hi,
Oh,
this
yes.
is Judge Diaz.
Yes.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I caution further that people definitely do not do that, because I think by commenting things like that as benign as that should be marked as whatever exhibit something, that opens it up to that actually, in my opinion, being required to be part of the record, potentially. And that's I've had that conversation with a few other folks on this issue. So I don't want to get into that realm of potentially the chats are part of the record or not. I think if we can all play it safe and do only what you would be allowed to do in court anyways, you can't slip a note to the judge saying that should be exhibit 3 instead of 2. Just caution for everyone to keep that in mind, as that's an issue that may develop later down the line if people are putting stuff in the chat that really should be included in the record.
Thank you. Yes, I don't even want to get into making the chats part of the record. But for the witnesses that we have, Dr. Murphy and Dr. Trevino here, it may be that if you are private chatting with one attorney over the other, not while you're on the stand, but maybe while you're observing, or if you have a question about somebody's client or the other during their testimony and you pose a question privately to the attorney, you know, that may be something that the other attorney would want to know or would want to see, or that may be part of their new, I'll tell you, you know, our attorneys, our bar is incredibly talented. And there are some really good lines of questioning that are going to be developed and continue to develop as a consequence of this particular platform. So just be cautious of that. If you are going to utilize the private chat or the chat, that may be something that gets questioned about once you're under oath and on the record testifying. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, y'all notice when you entered into this meeting, the waiting room, so that's where the that's where the witnesses that are subject to the rule will remain. There is also something called breakout rooms. And this is something that I just learned how to do yesterday, so I'm trying to recreate it. Breakout rooms will be used as if you and your client needed to go out into the hallway to talk about something, or you and opposing counsel wanted to have a quick conference before continuing with the hearing given testimony that just happened, or if you and opposing counsel wanted to have a chambers conference with the court. That would be the function of a breakout room. And I, as the host, can create it. I can create 1, I can create 2, I can create 5, and I can send you there. And whoever is in your breakout room, you can see and you can talk to, but you can't talk to the rest of the folks. So if y'all are interested, I can try to create a couple of breakout rooms and send people there to get the feel for it, and then bring y'all back to the main session. Or if you want to just play with that on your own, we can do that too. I'm trying to get through as much of this outline as I can, so it's totally up to what your interest levels are.
Whatever everyone wants.
I don't see the need. I've done it in a couple other Zoom things. And for anybody that hasn't done it yet, essentially they just put you in another room. It looks just like this, just with a smaller group. And at the bottom right-hand corner, it'll say when you're supposed to be to the meeting. I don't know that it adds anything to the training.
Here, let me do this real quick. Okay, I'm going to create a room, and I'm going to assign Brooke, Dina, and I'm going to assign 4 people. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So we hit join.
Yes. So I actually came with y'all to the breakout room and I left the other 7 people in the main room by themselves. So if we were having a chambers conference, this is what it would look like. We would be here having a conversation. The people that are in the main room, which would include my court reporter and
Who's
maybe,
in my break room?
I'm sorry. Oh, so in your break room is yourself, Brooke, Dina, Ana Laura, and me.
So you can hear us from the breakout room?
No, I came with you to the breakout room.
Ah, I got you. Okay.
And we can't hear what's going on in the main gallery. They can't hear what's coming in here.
Okay.
So if I leave the breakout room, I'm going to, and make sure you do this, don't leave the meeting, but return to the main session.
Okay.
Okay, and so I went with them to the breakout room and left y'all here. Presumably y'all would have the court reporter and whoever didn't go to the breakout room. Mark and I were actually talking about this yesterday. If it was a chambers conference and it was me and the 2 attorneys, rather than have the 2 clients stay in the main room, potentially get into a fight in front of my court reporter, I would probably assign them to their own breakout rooms of 1. So the 2 clients would be separated virtually. I and the 2 attorneys would be in chambers, and the court reporter would be waiting for all of us back in the main session. So I think that would work best. And Dr. Trevino, you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. I've only been doing it 2 weeks too, and it gets easier after the first 2 or 3. It gets so much easier. But couldn't you send them to the waiting room as well as to a breakout room? They can't talk to anybody. I don't know the difference between those 2 rooms.
I could. That would probably maybe be faster to send them back to the waiting room. Because when you're in the waiting room, you can't communicate with anyone else that's in the waiting room. Like when y'all came into the meeting, there could be 1 of you in the waiting room, there could be 6 of you in the waiting room, but you can't see anybody else. All you get is that little sign saying your meeting will start or something. I don't know what the sign says. So that could be an option as well. But I guess are you asking why not just send the clients out and use the main session as the breakout room?
I hadn't thought of that. I was just wondering, how do you choose one or the other? That's all.
The breakout rooms, I was thinking to get away from the court reporter, because typically that would be you would want to have a conversation with whoever's with you in the breakout room, but it would not be part of the record. And rather than announcing on and off the record, because this is new, I don't want to confuse anyone. We would just leave the session and then come back so the record would continue. I hadn't thought about putting my court reporter in the waiting room, but I'm not sure.
Well, if there's someone else watching the hearing too, if you're wanting to have a sidebar conversations with just the judge and the attorney, you wouldn't want to stay in the main room, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. I guess the question, I understood the question to be, well, why not just put everybody else in the waiting room and then just be able to use your main room as your breakout room?
Well, maybe one reason would be that in the waiting room, the judge can't go out and talk to them. And if you have them in a breakout room, you could go back and talk to everybody you wanted to, I guess.
Maybe, and you know, different judges are going to have different philosophies on this. I believe Judge Ferguson is taking the position that he's not entering a breakout room ever. And so if he sends some attorneys or an attorney and their client to the breakout room that they need not worry about him entering, he's just going to flag them, give them a warning, and then bring them back to the main session after whatever time they said they needed. So I think different judges are going to be exploring different options for the breakout rooms and for the use of the waiting room. Let me get through practice with clients and witnesses. So we covered, make sure that your witnesses are entering into the meeting with their real name, their first and last name. Make sure that they appreciate that their audio and their visual are going to be captured and seen by everybody, including the judge. That's part of the meeting, part of the hearing. So good practice is to keep yourself on mute if you're not talking, right? So if you've got a party witness who is sitting in their living room listening to their soon-to-be ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-husband, and they're sighing or gasping or, otherwise showing their displeasure, a lot of these microphones pick up a lot, right? They'll pick up the vibrations of a cell phone. They'll pick up the dings of your Outlook box. They're going to capture things. So make sure that your witnesses, your clients know if they're not talking and it's not their turn, they should be on mute. They should try to control their facial expressions even more than ordinary, because there's nothing else in their box except their face. So all going to credibility and things of that nature. There have been times in the hearings that were shared by Judge Miskell and Judge Ferguson and Judge Varial. Pay attention to their environment where they're calling in from when you're talking with your clients. Are they going to be in the middle of the family room with the TV going on and, kids and pets all over the place? Or can they get to a room, even if they're in their car, where they have some privacy and they have some ability to concentrate on the proceedings? The distractions in other people's background, other people's homes, just have that conversation with your clients. And again, from the virtual hearing, the new line of questioning that I think people are going to start using is, who's with you, who's outside of the screen that we can't see. Like, are you sitting there with your paramour? Are you sitting there with your new boyfriend, new girlfriend, that sort of thing? Where are you? If you're using a virtual background, what are you hiding? And then what's been provided to them? And if they're using any tools during their testimony, if they've got, an outline the way I do on their screen, that becomes fair game during the questioning. So for, again, Dr. Trevino, Dr. Murphy, to the extent that you'll be using your file or using things to assist you as you would when you come to the stand, right? You bring your folder, you bring your file. If you have that available and if you have it on your computer, you may want to practice with the share screen. So if the question comes, what are you referring to? What are you looking at? You may have one attorney or the other, or maybe even the court, ask you to share your screen. And the share screen function is at the bottom. It's that little green arrow that you see. And when you press it, you can share your screen. You can do a basic share screen or an advanced share screen. And on the advanced share screen, you can actually put a box over what it is that you are looking at. So in all of the files that you're looking at, if you're looking at a particular day or if you're reading from a particular note, you could get the box and highlight just that and share that with the court or with the examining attorney. So that's a function that takes a lot of practice. Judge Chandler, I don't know if your attorneys are going to be questioning their witnesses or doing their prep and they want their witness to be reading from a police report or a particular photograph of an injury or something like that. But that share screen function may be something that could help your witnesses provide more clarity to their testimony if they know how to use it.
Is that something that in future Q&As we're going to go over?
Sure. We can, I'm happy to take the question now.
How do you use the screen? Split screen.
So the share screen is the arrow that's at the bottom. I don't know if you're joining us from a laptop or from a cell phone, but do you see the share screen function?
And so you just click on that.
I'm sorry, I went mute. So you click on that arrow and it'll give you the opportunity to share your screen.
Okay.
And we can go through it now, or we can go through it later if you'd like, but you'll have an option. I'm sorry. You'll have an option to share the screen, either basic or advanced. And the advanced is going to give you that white box where you can, so like right now, Ms. Hesbrook is sharing her screen. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
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 So how do I get back?
So you'll go to view options and you'll say, it should give you the option to stop sharing your screen.
Oh. View option. I can't figure it out.
Here, let me see if I can stop sharing it as the host. There it is.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, no, that's good. Okay. Okay, so that's going to take some practice as far as sharing screen, and then being able to share the screen to the window that has whatever your witness wants to talk about, whether it be a note or a photograph or something of that nature. Now, when we talk about that, I'm going to go ahead and go into exhibits really quickly because I know we're a little over time. Exhibits, each judge, I think, is going to be handling their virtual world a little differently. I've asked that the exhibits be exchanged to me and to the court reporter by email ahead of time with an exhibit list and an indication of which ones are agreed and which ones need to have a pretrial conference on or rulings on. But my court reporter has asked, especially when we're dealing with large volumes of exhibits or photographs, she just wants a hard copy of all the exhibits sent to her after the hearing. So we still need the electronic version because once she gets the hard copy, she's going to be mirroring them up and making sure there have been no alterations. But when you share something on the screen, it's got to be an exhibit that has been admitted by agreement or admitted by ruling during the course of testimony. Of course, if there's a disagreement and I've got to take a look at it before I can make the ruling, if it's a foundation issue or if it's a question of authenticity and you're building that up with the witness, I have seen during these mock trials where that gets shared before in order to make the ruling on admitted or not admitted. But be cautious and be mindful with your witnesses that if they have something they want to show the court, they can't just hold it up in their screen, right? Like they can't just say, hey, look at what he did to me. I took this picture. We still have to follow the steps to make sure the exhibits are admitted before, or at least that a dispute is alerted as we move forward with these virtual hearings.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're sending our exhibits to opposing counsel, trying to have an agreement before court. We let you know what's agreed to and then what's not agreed to, but we still send everything to you and the court reporter before the hearing.
Yes.
Okay. And then we don't have to enter any evidence. You're already going to have exhibit, 1 through 10 that we've agreed to.
Right. But you would still have to make that announcement on the record, right? petitioners exhibits 1 through 10 have been offered, they're agreed to, and you get your ruling that they're admitted.
Okay.
Judge Diaz?
I was going to say, in one of the other mock trials, I heard some lawyers mentioning that they did not want to share all exhibits with the judge beforehand that were not agreed to be admitted, which, you know, I can see the argument for that, but I think that those folks were sending in advance all exhibits that were agreed to be pre-admitted, all pleadings, etc., and then those items that were disputed throughout the proceeding were ruled on by the judge and individually provided by email or through the chat function based on the ruling. So just something to keep in mind and consider. You may have lawyers that have an issue with doing that in advance, and I'm not sure that that's one of the things we'll be requiring of folks at this time.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great highlight again, that there are going to be lots of different variances from court to court. So when you get your assignment from presiding, you know, just like if we were all at the courthouse, you know your court, have an appreciation of what the protocols are in that particular court, and be patient, because, you know, we all have to be patient with each other, but be patient that the protocols may shift, right? As people become more familiar with the technology or recognize more kinks with the technology that maybe a protocol could fix or alleviate. But just know that there are going to be variances, not just necessarily from Bexar County to Atascosa County to, you know, Uvalde, but even within Bexar County, which is what we have now. I just think it's going to take some more getting used to virtually. Judge Diaz, did you still have your hand up? I'm sorry, and I see a chat.
Sorry, no, I need to put it down. It's lowered.
Okay, no, that's okay. And Brooke has 2 questions I saw on the chat.
Yes, Judge. I'm going to go ahead and give you both because I'll forget. One, what if something comes up through testimony and you now realize you want to admit something into evidence that you hadn't planned on using? Are we still going to be able to do that? And have y'all thought about how? And 2, are we then going to be getting our presiding assignments the day before? Because, you know, where do we send all this stuff? I thought I saw that we have to have it submitted at least 24 hours in advance.
So that protocol that came out, that operations plan that came out regarding the essential and non-essential hearings beginning April 6th, I think that's been revised, and there may be a new protocol going out with some more detail. But I think the expectation is that, yes, you'll get your assignment the day before. And Judge Diaz, correct me.
I don't think so. I think that's still actually being logistically worked out right now. So I'm not sure that would be correct, that they're getting the assignments the day before. Right now, this week, if you have an essential matter in presiding court, you're essentially just getting assigned out the day of, and you're being told who you're assigned to, and then you're expected to have all of your pleadings, evidence, whatever, ready to go to email via an email attachment or a Dropbox link to the judge that you're assigned to. So my suggestion, Brooke, would be, regardless of who you're assigned to, if it's a day before or the day of, that you would just want to be sure you have all of that in order in a fashion that you can easily email to whoever you're assigned to within 5 minutes of your assignment.
Yep. And I did have that happen. It was one of the staff attorneys from the Family Violence Prevention Service and Mr. Alfred Ramirez. They got assigned to me remote. They were there in presiding. They got assigned to have their competing protective order hearing heard by me virtually. And that was exactly it. I sent them an email, reply all, give me your live pleadings. We're going to have a pretrial hearing in 5 minutes. Then we're going to go right into the trial. Let me know the time estimate. Reply all with the live pleadings and the exhibits, and any issues will be taken up in the first 15 minutes of the hearing. they wound up doing an agreed reset. I don't know if that was a little overwhelming, but do expect that. And we know it's asking a lot, but that's how we're going to be able to see that. So just know that you've got to have your live pleadings scanned and ready to go if you get that assignment. You know, and for the rest of the week, it's just essential matters only. So yesterday we had ex parte protective order, and that affidavit needed to be able to be emailed to be reviewed, right? So live pleadings, including the attachments, and however you want to do it, if it's all just one PDF, or if you have a live pleading PDF and an affidavit PDF, just be ready to get that electronically over to the eyes of the judge. And proposed orders. Thank you, Judge Diaz. Yes, the proposed order, especially on the ex parte protective orders, you know, that needs to be able to be emailed out as well. Was there any, Brooke, what was your first question? I forgot. Did it get answered? I guess that's the better question.
I remember her question. She says her dogs are going crazy, but her question was if something comes up during the hearing and you decide that you want to try to introduce a piece of evidence that you didn't previously anticipate needing to introduce, how would you address that? I guess if you want to answer that, Judge Alvarez.
So I think the way it's come up in the virtual hearing, that did come up, and it was shared with the chat to everyone. It was a PDF that was uploaded, and if you look at your chat box, you'll see that there's a little file mark. I mean, there's a file. It says to everyone, or you can select if you want to do a private message. And then if you go over to the right, there's a file, right? And so Ana Laura just shared the file with us. And then that would be downloaded. You would still have to send the hard copy to the court reporter, but she would capture, and I would capture the unexpected exhibit with the download from the chat.
Can I add to that,
Yes.
Judge Alvarez? First of all, I'm on my phone right now for this Zoom conference, and I noticed you mentioned that Ms. Hesbrook shared something in the chat. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so it looks like, at least from me on my phone, I'm not able to see that at all being shared in the chat. So perhaps the document sharing function is not available on your phones. That's something we'll have to look into. But then secondly, I wanted to make note that kind of like my previous comment, we've had some lawyers that have indicated they don't want to share the exhibit that is to be considered to be admitted with the judge before it's admitted. So you can privately share the proposed pre-marked exhibit with opposing counsel through the chat function in the private function, allow them to review it and object. And then, of course, if the judge asks to see it, then the judge asks to see it. But you do have the ability to show to opposing counsel before showing it to the judge through the private chat feature.
I'm going to try that. Can I try that right now real quick?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
And while she's doing that, thank y'all. I'm sorry, must have been something outside. I'm sitting with my door open and the dogs are going nuts. So.
No.
It'll happen to all of us.
So because I don't know who else is not on the phone, I mean, who can't see it, because I know Judge Diaz said she couldn't see it, but I just shared with the judge just for an example. Does that make sense?
Yep.
The same test document.
Yes.
Okay.
And it'll come down, and just so everyone knows, when you download a document from the chat function, you're going to have to identify where you want it to be. If you want it to be in your docs folder, or if you want it to be on your desktop. So just be aware of that, because you've got to save it before you can open it. At least that's what happens on my computer.
I'm going to send it to Bob.
Judge Diaz, did you have a question?
No, just forgot to put my hand down again. I'm sorry.
No, that's
So
okay.
I see where it says desktop. Where do I go from there?
So you could save it on your desktop and then it'll let you open it. And then after the hearing or whenever, if you want to delete it from your desktop, I usually save to my desktop because that's easy for me to find. I know the tech advice is against that.
Mhm.
It leaves a very messy desktop, but I suspect that's what I'll be doing during the hearings because I'm not going to be fiddling around with, did I do it into my download file or my doc file or, you know, a file embedded in Word. I'm not as savvy as I need to be. Judge Diaz?
Is my hand still raised?
No, but I saw that, and that's a good, no. I saw the box trying to go to the yellow trying to go to your box, but it might have just been picking up some background noise.
Oh, I think so. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Dr. Trevino?
Yes, one thing that I've learned is that apparently if you go into if you're looking at a document or if you don't have your, as long as your camera is on, even if you're not looking at your screen, you're looking at your desktop or something else, the camera's still looking at you. So if you're doing something to yourself or if you're, it'll show. And other people, there's a YouTube where they show a woman in a Zoom class going to the bathroom, using the toilet. Be careful. It's just kind of scary to me.
Well, and you know how you're not supposed to touch your face? And I must touch my face like 50 million times because just today in this hour, I keep touching my face.
And this has been great. Is it possible, like if Joanne and I were talking, if we could go into some hearings at some point and watch just to see how people handle it? How do we find out where the hearings are?
So I think the different judges they should have YouTube channels, not just in Bexar County, but across the state. I think Office of Court Administration has advised that folks get their YouTube channel set up. Some people like Judge Ferguson and I believe Judge Miskell as well are live streaming their courtroom on YouTube. So you could go into their YouTube channel and while the hearing is going on, you can see it through YouTube. And I think Judge Diaz, we're just putting the Zoom meeting into the YouTube channel comments. And so
I'd rather watch you guys than someone I don't know. If you put the live meeting on and then I join it, you would accept me in or not accept me in, however you felt, right?
Right. Well, unless you were a witness for that particular case, the go-to is going to be to let everyone in, because that's the open courts provision of our Constitution. If there's a disruption or anything, it'll be announced on the record and before I just put someone out in the waiting room. Yeah. So if you join the meeting, you're coming in unless you're designated as a witness.
So I would know by looking at I'd kind of check out y'all's YouTube channels and then just join.
And the comments will, at least our, knock on wood, right? The technology and my ability have a nice little joining, but the comments will have the Zoom meeting ID for that day.
Okay. May I add to that?
Yes,
Judge Alvarez, and hi, Dr. Trevino, this is Monique Diaz. We are, I know, currently trying to figure out on the tech side how to ensure that there is one place that presiding court will be posting, all of the assignments for that day so that folks like yourself are not required to go and look at every individual judge's YouTube page. However, that is currently, as of today, the best thing you can do outside of one of us just letting you know when we're having a hearing. I know that my page is set up, Judge Alvarez's YouTube page is set up, I believe Judge Jimenez, Alvarado, and I think Judge Stryker perhaps are all doing the same practice of posting in the comments of our YouTube page a link to the Zoom meeting through which we'll be having our hearings, but we're hoping to have a centralized location going forward through presiding court so that you can have access to that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, and Judge Diaz is very gracious. We're set up this way because she's helped us. She and her chief of staff have been able to help us with the YouTube and this system. So again, especially for the family and the protective order cases, we're not live streaming these hearings that, you know.
That's kind of scary to think that just anybody can get on and watch. It seems to me. I just.
Well,
speaking of, who is OC 38049? I wonder.
Thank you for that. Yes. Can you identify yourself, please?
I wrote in the comments, Judge Diaz, this is Crystal. That's Omega Kate. She's the felony prosecutor in our protective order unit.
Hi.
Oh, cool.
Hi there. Sorry, I was just incognito.
Thank you.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, no, that's definitely something, and thank you for asking that question, because I was eventually going to get to it. But if there's a hearing and you see someone there and it is, you know, your client has worries of stalking, or there have been threats that they may not rise to the level of a protective order application, but there are concerns, and we're having one of these hearings, whether it be a custody case or protective order case or, you know, anything, and there's a participant that's in the hearing, ask, because again, it's going to be a learning curve managing the chat, the participants, the record, the exhibits, and everything else.
Judge, did I hear you correctly that some judges are going to air it via YouTube?
Some judges have been. That is their way to comply with the open records, is to have it you streamed on YouTube. I don't know what all of our judges are going to be doing, but I think the practice is to have it streamed and then go to the channel after the hearing and delete it. Dr. Trevino, was there a question?
Oh, I forgot to put my hand down. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Anything else? I know we've gone over what was expected, but are there any other questions? And I'm going to try to do this for the next few days, you know, just a 5 o'clock to 5:45, invite whoever wants to be invited. So if there's any other questions that come up, let me know. Is there anything that we can cover today?
No, but maybe tomorrow, if you can include me again, and I'm sure more things will come up.
Yes, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll probably do it mid-morning again and just send out the invite with the calendar entry.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much for being here, and thank you for joining us as we venture into new paradigms.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.